Hello and welcome to the Ken Block exhibit here at the Petersen Automotive Museum. My name is Ron Zaras, aka Ron Car, and I had the very lucky opportunity to work with Ken and the Hoonigan Racing Division from 2010 right up until 2023, doing digital media, photography, film, social media, all that. And as a result, I've gotten to spend a lot of time with the vehicles that you see here today. Today, we're going to talk about a very special vehicle. Well, they're all special, but this one, the Hoonitruck, I know a lot of people really like. So today we're gonna take a deep dive into why we built it, how we built it, a couple little secrets here and there, and some of the stuff that this truck accomplished. So what we have here is a 1977 Ford F-150 pickup truck. Or at least what's left of one. I mean, some of the things, you know, like the roof panel, maybe a little bit of the door, some of that stuff is still original, but you know, a lot goes into making a Gymkhana car, which is what this truck was built for. Now, if you don't know, Gymkhana is the series of videos that Ken started in 2008, which shows precision driving in an exciting way. We launched it on YouTube and it started a whole entire series. Now this truck was made for a special series that we did called Gymkhana TEN, which was also part of an Amazon documentary called the Gymkhana Files. That was a documentary that you could still see on Amazon today that dove really deep behind the scenes of how we make these Gymkhana films. Now, to make a pickup do things that a rally car would normally be able to do takes a lot of work. So for this instance, we hit up Detroit Speed to help us build the vehicle. Now, why a 1977 Ford F-150? Well, two reasons. One being that was one of the first vehicles that Ken remembered his father driving. So he had a very special place in his heart for this specific type of truck. Two, we were working with Ford at the time. And usually when you work with a car manufacturer, they want to talk about all of their brand new cars, the newest vehicles they have. And at the time, they had budget for the brand new F-150. And as you could tell, this is definitely not a new F-150, but what we were able to do is tell their story of aluminum panels and aluminum bodywork, which is exactly what we did here. And also, kind of the centerpiece of the truck is the engine. So at the time of when we built this, Ford was also doing their Ford GT racing program in Le Mans. And the engine powering this car, it was an actual Ford GT development motor that they used to create that whole entire program. So what does that mean? It's a 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6, twin turbo. This one here, in this trim, is pumping out 914 horsepower. So a little bit more than the race car, but you know, to turn the 275 width tires that are all around this thing, you do need a lot of juice. So this is not a typical setup for the turbochargers on the Ford GT, but because Gymkhana is equal parts go, there's also a little bit of show to it. And inspired by our time spent in Dubai and some car builds on the internet, we always wanted to show some turbos outside of the hood, just like the Ford Mustang Hoonicorn that we also have here on display. So you do have the two twin turbos sticking out of the hood, some NACA ducting going in them, but really a special part of this engine was right in the middle of this hood. That right there is the intake manifold, and that was 3D printed by Ford from aluminum. Now at the time, that was a crazy thing. I think it was one of the earliest parts that Ford had ever 3D printed. And if you do get the chance to look at this up close, it's kind of amazing. These gray parts that you see among the black are actually an intricate mesh that you wouldn't be able to machine otherwise. But with 3D printing, it allowed us to make that shape. That was a really cool talking point that also, you know, helped us touch on Ford's skills in metallurgy at the time. So the interior, at least for our standards, is one of the simplest that we ever built. You have a really large transmission tunnel, which houses one of the really important pieces for this vehicle, and that's the SADEV all-wheel drive system. Now, what that means is a diff up front, a diff in the back, and a diff in the center. That allows you to do that rally car style driving instead of traditional transfer case style all-wheel drive. You also have the sequential shifter and a custom Hoonigan handbrake. The handbrake, when you pull it back, decouples the center diff so that just the rear wheels can lock and the fronts can spin freely. And just like all of our builds, the handbrake is something very special. Now, Ken really liked making the handbrake kind of a part of his character because when you pull it, that means you're going sideways. In a racing situation, you would use the handbrake maybe, 2-3 times per race. But in a Gymkhana film, you're trying to get crazier angle, you're trying to get more smoke, more sliding. And the handbrake became this central part, this kind of symbol of what we were doing. So as a result, you want to make it special in each vehicle. So this one, a custom CNC'd handbrake with the Hoonigan logo up top, just for this truck. Kind of similar to the Hoonicorn one. And it lives in this family of handbrakes that we had in almost all of the car builds that we did. So this truck being part of Gymkhana TEN, the 10th installation, well, more than that if you count specials, but by the time we had made this truck and the time we were making this film, we had learned a lot about what it takes to make one of these films. And if you're in production, then you will know every minute on set is time, money, people, weather. So all that being said, we needed to build a vehicle that could be fixed very quickly if you hit a wall, if you blow a tire, if you hit a curb. Anything that happens, we tried to anticipate with this vehicle. So starting from the rear mounted radiator, if you look at Gymkhana videos and you see that type of driving, sometimes you have a lot of sideways speed. That means not a lot of airflow over the front of the truck. So we put the radiators in the back with huge puller fans so that the air can get in and around no matter which way the truck is oriented, keeping that motor cool and happy even under high load, high stress situations. The diff, if you can see here, is offset very far to the right. That offset diff gives you a really good pinion angle, and it also allows the driver to have a good position inside of the vehicle. That's a big thing that we learned with the Hoonicorn, because when you do have that transmission up front, you have to put all those diffs, drive shafts, everything around the driver. So this offset was specifically engineered around Ken's seating position. You look at a couple other things, like these bolts on the chassis, and you look at the corners, you start realizing that this thing is almost built to crash. Now, we weren't crashing vehicles on purpose, but the idea of a Gymkhana film is to get really close to obstacles with the rear end or the front. And when that happens, when you're pushing those limits, a lot of times you go over the limit. So this thing is built to wreck. So let's say that you back it into a wall. All you really need to do is unbolt top, bottom, new wing, new side panels, and you're good to go again. On production, it's really, really important. It's almost like a pit stop. You gotta be able to fix this thing and get it back to filming as soon as possible. And in the same vein of being able to fix this thing really quickly, we engineered the spares package of the truck before we even built the whole thing. So traditionally on our cars, or any car with normal suspension, you have front control arms, rear, sometimes you have an upper control arm and a bottom one. Each one of those is a different part number. That's an extra piece to have. And let's say you've gone through 2 front lower control arms, well, all of a sudden you need a third. You got all the rear control arms you need in the world, but you don't have that one. So we took that mindset and we said, let's make all of the arms the same part number. So the top, the bottom, the front, and the rear, all of those control arms are interchangeable so that your spares package can be tight, quickly referenced, quickly grabbed, and again, fixing it in no time. And now moving around to the back, you have a non-traditional drag style wing. Really, this is kind of an aesthetic decision. Got good branding, square footage on the back, but also it just looks cool. And it allows you to have a proximity point to get this thing close to a wall, a fence, any one of the times that you have on the videos that Ken gets really, really close to stuff. That's a cool thing to have. But if you look at the back of this, not a whole lot of race trucks also have a tow hitch on the back. So yes, when we were developing this chassis, we said, Detroit Speed, make us a truck that handles like a rally car, but also has a tow hitch, because it's a truck, it's got a tow. And if you look at the intro to Gymkhana TEN, the first time anybody saw this truck, it is actually connected to a trailer that has the Hoonicorn on the back of it, which is doing a burnout. That's one of those things that we just said, hey, we got these 2 vehicles on site, let's make it cool. Now the livery that you see the truck in today is actually from a later film that we made called Gymkhana 2 that we filmed at Tianmen Mountain in China. So This livery is made by our friend Death Spray Custom. He comes out of the UK, and he actually did a lot of artist collaborations with us. He did a lot of liveries. So we tapped him to make his signature kind of pattern with bolts, tonal black and gray, a little bit of white, a little bit of red for the bells. But in general, this kind of carried the theme of the Hoonicorn and a lot of the stuff that we did with that artist. So another unique piece, at least from what we were used to doing, is the wheel and tire setup. Now, traditionally on a rally car, you would be running an 18-inch wheel with somewhere around a 245, 255 width tire. That would look really, really silly on a truck this big. So when we widened it, we lowered it, we said, wow, we really need a 20-inch wheel on this thing. It was kind of wild. So we got custom 20-inch wheels made, and a tire to fit the 20s is a 315 width Toyo Proxies all around. Now that made for a really challenging driving experience for Ken, because coming from, let's say, the Hoonicorn, that had a narrower tire, a 275, and a lot wider of a power band. This V6 was made for endurance racing. It was made for track driving. It wasn't really made for all-wheel drive sliding where you need power down low. So when you watch any of these films, it's actually that much more impressive to know that Ken was working with a narrower power band, a wider truck, wider tires, and an overall more challenging driving experience. Me personally, I first became aware of who Ken Block was because of another guy called Travis Pastrana. So I was a rally fan from the very beginning. As long as I can remember, my motorsport that I loved was rally driving. And in the US, we didn't have a whole lot of rally drivers that were on a really famous level until Travis Pastrana came around. So I was a Pastrana fan. Then all of a sudden, this guy comes around, Ken Block, who's competing with Travis out of nowhere. They were trading stage times. They were fighting for the same championship. I was like, who is this guy? While wearing a pair of DC shoes, I found out that he was the founder of DC. He was Pastrana's boss, and he threw his hat in the ring to do this whole thing. And then just a year later, he made a film called Gymkhana Practice, and it blew my mind. At the time, the zeitgeist of the whole car world was STIs, rally cars for the road. We got the Evo at the time. We got all these cars. There was so much excitement around all that, paired with action sports and X Games. It was like all of this happening at once. And I was like, this is the man. He's doing the coolest stuff with these cars that you could see on the road today. So transitioning from being a fan of Ken to working with Ken was mind-blowing. The first time I ever met him, I was working at a car magazine called 0 to 60, and the editor-in-chief of that magazine was a guy named Brian Scotto, who was the guy that kind of helped Ken kick off his automotive career. So long story short, I had a press truck, it was a Ford Raptor, and I met Ken at Scotto's house, and Ken was asking me how I liked the truck and how it drove and all that. I'm like, dude, I want to ask you all these questions about driving and Subarus and all this stuff, but it was a cool little bonding moment that we had there. And then fast forward 6 months later, I'm working for the guy, on the digital side, working on the Facebook page, the Instagram page, the YouTube, the blog, because that was the thing at the time, I'm dating myself. But I will say the coolest thing about working with Ken is I was just an intern. I was nobody. And I got to sit in a room, in a meeting, making plans for Gymkhana 3, his next Gymkhana film. And I just had a random idea, I just blurted it out. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing, dude? Just sit in the background, just say nothing. And Ken was like, oh, I like that. Yeah, he wrote something down, and it ended up being a part of the film. And to me, the fact that this guy that was on this level, he had so much success in action sports with this business and everything, for him to just take my suggestion off the bat with no question, that it felt insane. Maybe that was part of the hook that kept me working for him. Really, for me, it's seeing where the world of automotive media is today. Anything from the wild liveries that people put on cars, all the way down to wheel manufacturers paint one spoke a different color. They have a sticker of one spoke being a different color. So much of that can be traced back to stuff that Ken did way back in the day. And that's the coolest thing to me, is seeing the influence that he had, things that he was doing before anybody thought of having a car YouTube channel. You see that, you see little bits of that in everything everybody's doing, from their own livery launches, to their merch lines, to how things are filmed, to even some of the places that major manufacturers shoot stuff now. So much of that can be traced back to things that we did over a decade ago. I think a lot of people will come here having seen 1 or 2 or 3 of his videos, but what we really tried to get across is the depth of Ken's character, how much he did, how much he accomplished through all these years. And also realizing that this is only the automotive portion of his life. He had such a piece of his life before that. But really, to be able to walk in here and see everything from, you know, a semi-street spec Subaru to a completely custom one-off insane Pikes Peak Porsche build, seeing the breadth and the depth of how much he accomplished is what we're really trying to show here. So all the story, all the detail that we just talked about on this truck, realize that we have that ×9, actually even more here in this entire exhibit. Every one of these cars has that level of detail and that level of story. So to really experience it, you should come check it out. The People's Champ, the Ken Block exhibit here at the Petersen Museum, going until October 5th.